On the 8th Sunday of Christmas, Sharon shared with me a cute little slider box filled with Dove chocolates. Now, if you use a blue base, like I did here, I used Secret Sea with Peaceful Garden DSP, then the milk chocolate Dove, holiday doves, work beautifully in here. If you like dark chocolate, then the Traditions of Christmas DSP in Real Red went perfectly with those. Now, these are a little bit snug, but that's just so that I can get 3 bases out of 1 sheet of cardstock. And I suppose if you like caramel doves, you could use, and this is not finished, but you could do a Thanksgiving version because the caramel version is this kind of yellow. So those would go nicely in there. Let's see how these are done. All right, we are going to begin with a piece of Secret Sea cardstock, and we need to cut this to be 3 5/8 by 8 1/4. So since this distance is 8 1/2, I'm going to make this first cut at 3 5/8. If I were making multiples, I'd probably cut the 8 1/4 first, because you can get 3 bases, box bases, from this 1 sheet of cardstock. So there's my 3 5/8. 5/8 is 2 tick marks past the 3 1/2. And then I'm going to rotate it, and I'm going to cut it down to 8 1/4. I'm just cutting off a 1/4 inch there. Now we need to do some scoring. So on this long side, we're going to score it at 5/8. Again, 2 tick marks past the 1/2 inch. And remember, scoring is the light blade. So 5/8 at 1 1/4, 7, and 7 5/8. Then you're going to rotate it, and you're going to score it on the short side at 5/8, 1 1/4, 2 3/8. 3/8 is 2 tick marks before 2 1/2. And then at 3 inches. Now, if you don't like remembering all those measurements, you can just simply remember score it at 5/8 and 1 1/4 all the way around, because that's what you've done. You can see, I think, all these little squares in here. So if you wanted to just score it at 5/8, score, 1 1/4, score, and repeat all the way around. Repeat it 4 times. Then you're going to have this same look. All right, now we need to make some cuts. And the template for this will be available in my Monday email. It's a downloadable PDF tutorial that includes the photo of the template. So what you're going to do is you're going to come in here holding it on the long side. You're going to cut up on this second score line in. You're going to cut up to the second horizontal line. And you're going to do that on all 4 sides. So I'm going to do it on the bottom side first. I say 4 sides, but I don't mean 4 sides. You're going to do it 4 times. And then on the opposite side, twice. Okay. Now we are going to turn it on, work on the short side. I'm going to cut off these little 2 squares here and on the opposite end. Rotate it. Same thing here. Cut off those 2 squares and these 2 squares. And then I'm going to cut off this single square on either side of the wider rectangle. So we can make those cuts and then just do this and this. And do it on the other end as well. Cut off that single piece. Oop, I didn't cut very well there. Here we go. And right here as well. Okay, so you have something that looks like this. Now we do want to do a little something to help this come together a little bit. And so because we had cut up 2 places here, we've got these freestanding flaps. We want to angle cut those or miter them just slightly. So just take a little bit of a notch out on both free sides. All right, there we go. Clean this up. Let's grab our bone folder and make things nice and crisp. I'm going to fold this, fold this. Boxes go together so much more nicely when you've got nice, crisp fold lines. If you don't have a bone folder, these make great stocking stuffers. If you want to give a hint to somebody, they can contact me and I can order it for them. All right. So now we have this. Now we just need to put it together. I'm going to use some tear and tape because it dries quicker, but you can certainly use the glue or you can use the Seal Plus, whatever is your favorite adhesive. We're going to put this along the edge of both long sides here. There we go. And then we're going to put it on these just last little bits over here. So we are making a double-walled box, which is very nice and sturdy. All right. And there we go. Oops, and there we go. Sorry, I didn't mean to be working off camera. All right, let's remove the backing from the tear and tape. And then to form the box, it's really pretty simple. I'm going to start, and maybe you don't even remove the tear and tape backing off these 2 first, but we're going to start by folding these little flaps in on both ends, and we're going to wrap this one over the top. So now there's a double wall here. Same thing on the other side. It just makes it sturdier and neater looking. And then you just have to fold these 2 flaps down. So we have that nice little tray bottom. Okay, if I bring in these Dove chocolates, now these are the holiday chocolates. You can see they've got the little holiday bow on them. I find that they fit best in there with the bows going sideways. So I just make them all do the same direction. And you can fit 5 in here nicely. And now we need to make the sleeve for it. Now we're going to bring in our designer series paper, and we need to have it 5 3/4 inches long because that's going to be the part that goes over here. I cut that one first, 5 3/4. And then I determine where I'm going to have to cut to get my doves, in this case, to lay nicely. Now I'm actually going to cover over this a bit, so it doesn't really matter if I have doves showing on the end, but if I wanted to have doves showing on the end, this is kind of the section that I want. So I would go to the bottom of the dove here, and we're going to need a piece that is 4 1/8, but I'm showing you now if you have a pattern such as this where you really need to be particular about what is showing. I'll show you. It doesn't matter if you don't have something like this image. But since I do, let's go ahead and do it. I'm going to start with the part that fits over this box right here. And so that is where it is scored at 2 1/4. So if I look at this, 2 1/4, right now it's at 2 1/2. That means I want to cut off 1/4 inch. And then this is going to look very nice when I score it again properly. All right, so now that I know this edge, I want it to be 4 1/8 inches wide. Again, if you don't use this paper, you're all set. In fact, I could use the back of this paper and then it wouldn't matter at all what I start with. All right, so here's my paper. I'm going to start by scoring at 3/8 of an inch. So 3/8 is 2 past 1/4. 1 1/16, and this is so that it fits around, because 1 inch would not be enough. It would be too tight. So 1 1/16 is 1 tick mark past the 1 inch line. And then score it at 2 1/4. And 2 15/16, which is just 1 mark before the 3. Now if I go ahead and fold and burnish here on all those lines, again, this is the step that you should not skip because it really makes for a nicely finished project. Okay, so we have those pieces right there. And if I fold this here, you can see that by putting adhesive right here, and I'm going to go ahead and use my tear and tape. And I'm going to put it next to the score line here. All right. Take this off. I can fold it right flat, and now it's going to create a sleeve when I pop it open. And look at my doves. They are beautifully positioned. So now I have this sleeve. So this is like a Matchbox slider. It's just a really long one, long skinny one. Now we need to decorate this. I thought it might be fun to bring in some glimmer paper, and we're just going to use a little bit of this stuff. And let's go ahead and cut it to be 7/8 of an inch wide by about 5 inches, I guess. So I'm going to do the 7/8 inch first. 2 tick marks before the 1. And 5 inches. All right. So this is going to go right on top here. You know what? I think we can go shorter. Let's go 4 inches. There we go. And so that way we have our doves over here showing up nicely. We can dovetail this. There we go. There's one. Try to do the same thing on the other side. There's the other one. Here we go. So we've got that, and then we want to put our message over the top of that. We could use one of the, so this is another beautiful pattern. By the way, using this pattern, you wouldn't have to worry about the doves at all. See how it ties in nicely with that other color leaf. But now we have this. We could bring in either one of these and stamp over the top. I think I'm going to bring in this one right here. We want to make this a little bit smaller than wider but shorter. So this was 4. So let's go with 3 inches by 1 1/8. I'll do 1 1/8 over here by 3.5 inches. I'm going to make my dovetail very, very slight here. Maybe 1/4 inch. Quarter of an inch. There we go. When you bring this in, we have this just over the top. See how these kind of peek out underneath? I like that. That looks good, I think. So let's stamp something on here. Oh, let's go ahead and do 'Tis the Season, which actually really works nicely, I think. Oh, wait, let's see if that's long enough. Oh, for crying out loud. All right, you know what we're going to do here? We're going to cut a piece of basic white cardstock. And I have a scrap here already. And this is a fairly thin saying, so I think maybe 1/2 inch would be appropriate. 1/2 inch wide. All right, I just put my cutter on top of my keyboard. All right, so let's see how we like this look. All right, I can cut this down a little bit. A little bit more. So we'll have something that looks just like that when we're done. All right, let's stamp this in Secret C. Here's my Secret C ink. Tis the season. Beautiful. And I'm going to adhere this just with regular adhesive. And put that right over the middle here. It extends beyond the dovetail just a little bit. Like that. And then we're going to adhere it to the glimmer paper using dimensionals. Let's see if we can find some dimensionals. Here we go, right in my little desk organizer. That was the World Card Making Day project. Still available for purchase, by the way. I love mine. I'm going to center this as best I can before I stick it down. That's good. And then we're just going to stick that down right here. If you want to wrap some ribbon around that, you can, but I don't think it really needs it. We'll just adhere this right here. Center it. And there we go. There we have a cute little slider box filled with 5 Dove chocolates. Thank you so much for joining me. I hope you will consider making some of these treats for your Christmas table or to bring to your hosts as a gift, and maybe even something for, the mailman and your coworkers, Secret Santa, all those people. Join me next Sunday for another project, and in the meantime, I wanted to let you know that Stampin' Up! Has announced a Black Friday sale. So it is going to begin near Black Friday or on Black Friday and extend for a week. And that is going to be fabulous. It's going to be a sale of up to 40% off. They're not even telling demonstrators what's on sale. So you'll just have to check in when it begins, and I will make sure I give you a link to do that. But you can always go to the online store when it starts. Also, in December, after the Black Friday sale ends, there's going to be a paper pumpkin special. So this would make a great gift for a crafter in your life. You can get 3, 6, or 12-month subscriptions. It's prepaid subscriptions only, and only on paper pumpkin, not the regular kits. But this is going to be a fabulous savings. It's 25% off. So I hope that you will kind of give a nudge to one of the gift givers in your life, or if you know someone who loves to craft, perhaps this is the nudge you need. Details will be coming. Have a great week, everybody.